So welcome, Gretta. Gretta, I met along my International Coach Academy days, and she's been an absolute delight to know and mentor. So she took my Coach Credential Prep class, and so I'm going to share with you what she has to say about it. So my first question, Gretta, is what made you decide to take the course?
I hadn't been in a formal training class since I got my ACC, which is about 4 years ago. And that's where we met, as you mentioned. And there were a couple of reasons that led me to the class. One was because you were my trainer there and I absolutely loved you. And secondly, because I felt like I needed training. I had suddenly lost confidence. I was about to apply to my PCC and I don't know what happened. I lost confidence. And so I thought I could use some more training, some more formal training beyond the webinar now and then. So, something more consistent, something with the same person, and something that was longer and more in depth. So that's what drew me to the course.
Okay. Yeah, I think that was partly my experience as well. Like, I'm coaching for 10 years. I decided to get my MCC, and it was a bit of a struggle because like you, I went to many webinars and conferences, but formal, committed, determined with an objective of here's where I am, here's where I want to be. Whether or not you have to, submit a recording to ICF, most of us want to feel like we're improving in our coaching, and then the confidence comes up. So that's a good point that you make. Thank you. All right. So let me think. My next question is, what was the biggest surprise? Like, what was your biggest takeaway that you didn't expect?
Oh, wow. That's a good one. My surprise, I think, was that I had forgotten a lot of details related to training. Mind you, this was more advanced than my initial training, but I'd forgotten. And one example is when one of the initial sessions about themes and metaphors. Well, in the initial training, we just touched over it when I was doing my ACC, and I just forgot about it and really hadn't been consciously applying that to my coaching. And I loved it. It's really changed. It's really changed a lot. So several things to do with the content that were more advanced than the initial training. And I'd forgotten. Underlying beliefs, another one. Again, touched on it years ago, read about it, and just working through the exercises in the formal class was really helpful.
Yes. Practicing those things. Like if I understand, like themes is something that Marion Franklin coined that term for what shows up in coaching sessions over and over again. CBT calls them common mental mistakes. It's the perspectives that show up. But what do I do with that? How do I apply this insight I have, without leading, without being, attached to what the client says? And we did practice that, really applying underlying beliefs. What do I do with these? What does it sound like in a coaching session? So I think, that's very helpful to many, many coaches that I mentor. My final question is, if you're somebody thinking about taking this credential prep course, what would you want them to know?
Yeah, I'd say go for it. I'd say for a few reasons. It's a really great value. First of all, I know it's a time commitment. It's an investment of time and financial. It's a financial commitment, and I just think it's a great value. It's something that you'll use for a long time. You're able to download a lot of course materials. You meet really nice, cool people that you can connect with and have conversations with outside the formal class. And lots of resources are given that from fellow students, from the instructors that aren't necessarily anticipated, through conversation. So in addition to the formal course materials and the recommendations to read the books, there are a lot of resources that are given. And I'd say just go for it. Don't hesitate. It's so worthwhile for many different reasons, even if you don't need to build your confidence.
Yeah, and that's interesting. Where is your confidence level compared to when you started the course?
It's much higher, and I attribute that a lot to the course. We did a lot of coaching demos of each other in the classes. But for me, what was also really valuable was just talking about our own coaching experiences, having a really safe place to talk about, for example, is it okay to say this? Or should I be going down this path? It was a really safe place to test and to experiment and to be honest. I loved it.
Yeah, thank you. I'm glad to hear your confidence is increased. And because Greta and I know each other, I know that her attracting business has been up a little, and something she thought confidence would help with her. And as coaches, we always want more business, it seems, until we get to the point where we're full. So I will say that in closing, Greta hit on a very important thing. You could spend months putting together what Carol, Keith, and I put together, culling the internet, our 20 years, collected 40 years in coaching, and giving it to you in a 12-week intensive. Yes, it's a commitment. It's a commitment of to learn, and evidence of that is, of course, there's a price to pay. So I welcome you. I welcome anyone to, just reach out with me. My information is on this video. And we will have a conversation about your coaching goals. Thank you, Greta.
Thank you, Merci.